And you can see a theme here. The Packers like receivers with size and big play potential. What's up, everybody? It's Joe Marino from the Draft Network, here to talk about the Green Bay Packers 2022 NFL Draft Class. And this was an important draft for the Packers, who had a lot of picks, multiple first-round picks, and obviously wanting to get over the hump in the NFC. They've got a short window remaining with Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback, and the need to really maximize their opportunity to win another Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. And these players are going to be pretty instrumental in whether or not that is going to happen. So let's look at what they accomplished in the first round. Number 22 overall, Quay Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia. And, you know, so many people thought the Packers had to get a wide receiver with one of their early selections. Well, it just didn't work out for the Packers. They went early and often, the receivers before them. And to the Packers' credit, I think they did a good job of not reaching for a receiver, but instead just focusing on other needs and allowing talent to fall to them. And so with Quay Walker, they get a rangy linebacker that can cover distance, that can play in space. He's an explosive athlete with good size. And, you know, pairing him with Devonte Campbell on the second level should give Green Bay their best linebacker duo in a long time. And so there's a lot of appeal with Walker, and he's going to fit right into this defense with so many other good pieces around him. So in year one, I do think he does become that immediate starter next to Campbell, and provides a lot of athleticism to this Packers defense. Now, the Packers made another first-round pick, and they made another pick for the defensive side of the ball, and another player from Georgia, this time Devonte Wyatt, defensive tackle, number 28 overall. And I thought Wyatt was the best defensive tackle in this class. I mean, just unbelievable athleticism. You love the way that this guy can affect the quarterback, can work into gaps, play on the other side of the line of scrimmage, make plays behind the line of scrimmage. He's got unbelievable range as a player overall. You can see him chase down, you know, quarterbacks, and you can see him work to the sideline, just flowing to the football with a lot of urgency. You know, I think he's going to pair with some of the other players up front for, you know, this Packers defense. You think about Kenny Clark, you think about Rhyan Gary, and now Devonte Wyatt just kind of added to this mix. And you've got a lot of guys that can force the action and dictate things up front. So in year one, I think Devonte Wyatt is a starter and a high-impact defensive playmaker for this Packers defense. In the second round, number 34 overall, the Packers found themselves a wide receiver in Christian Watson out of North Dakota State. And, you know, this is a player that always kind of felt destined to be a Packer when you think about him being a height, weight, speed guy, you know, playing in the cold up north. And, you know, now he goes to Green Bay and he just kind of fits into that mold. And you get excited for Watson and his opportunity to play in this offense and to play with Aaron Rodgers. You know, this is a guy that is a big play machine, right? He had 57 plays in college that went for at least 20 yards on 180 touches. I mean, that's the type of big playability this Packers offense needed. And you know, Watson can come in and immediately elevate the talent around Aaron Rodgers. And obviously things are a little bit strange with no Davante Adams, but Watson can come in and give them a playmaker to help regroup and rebuild the weaponry around Aaron Rodgers. So in year one, I do think he's a top 2 or 3 wide receiver for this offense, with a lot of appeal to become a dynamic playmaker and weapon for this offense. In the third round, number 92 overall, Rhyan, offensive lineman out of UCLA. He's a college left tackle that projects best to playing on the inside in the NFL, and that's where I think the Packers have a need. You know, I think you look at the middle of this offensive line, I really like Josh Myers as an answer, and I love Elgton Jenkins and the versatility there, but you know, they just needed more next to Bakhtiari and next to Myers and next to Jenkins. And Rhyan's a player that I think has the ability to come in and challenge for a starting role. I mean, he's an experienced player. He's powerful. He's got great grip strength and body control. I think he's got better athleticism than he's been given credit for. And so I think this guy can really be an answer for a Packers offensive line that I think has had a lot of attrition over the years, whether it's been injuries or players leaving because their contracts are up. I think they needed to replenish some of this depth, and you know, in Rhyan, they get a player that I think has a chance to start for them in year one. So in year one, I mean, don't be surprised if Rhyan challenges for a starting role, potentially at left guard or right guard, and you know, that allows them to be versatile with Elgton Jenkins and get their best 5 on the field in front of Aaron Rodgers. In the fourth round, number 132 overall, the Packers select Romeo Doubs, wide receiver out of Nevada. And when you think about the need that the Packers had at wide receiver, it made a lot of sense for them to double dip. And, obviously Christian Watson, the headliner, but, Doubs, a player that out of Nevada had a lot of production with quarterback Carson Strong and, has that ability to win down the field. So I like the double dip at receiver. I do have some questions about the player that they drafted. He's a player that I think struggles a little bit with the ball skills in the hands and creating separation, especially whenever, he's tasked with physical players at the line of scrimmage. So I think there's some evolution needed. There's some improvement needed from Romeo Doubs, but I think the need was pretty clear at wide receiver, and he can settle in and potentially provide the Packers with another answer. So in year one, I think Doubs is probably more of a developmental player, guy that gets a chance on special teams. But, if he reaches his ceiling, I think he can eventually turn into a very meaningful weapon for this Packers offense. Also in the fourth round, number 140 overall, Zach Tom, offensive lineman out of Wake Forest. I love Zach Tom, one of my favorite players in this class. And I talked already about some of the attrition that the Packers offensive line has faced over the last several years. And Tom is another player that has versatility, college left tackle. He's played, a lot of different spots up front. I think he actually has the ability to play any of the 5 spots on the offensive line, which includes center. Experienced player, good athleticism, love his technique, offers versatility. And so, look, it's just a matter of finding the right spot for Zach Tom. And maybe that is as a Swiss Army knife that backs up all 5 positions, but I wouldn't sleep on him as a potential starter in time. So in year one, I think Zach Tom provides depth at every spot up front, but don't sleep on this guy's ability to challenge for a starting role relatively early in his career. In the fifth round, number 179 overall, Kingsley Enagbare, the edge rusher from South Carolina. And I think this is great value. If Enagbare went in the third round, I wouldn't have been surprised. So getting him in the fifth round, 179 overall, I think that's really, really good value. And I like Enagbare and how he can help this defense. Long arms, heavy hands, strong at the point of attack. He's not the most explosive or flexible edge rusher, but when you think about him as an edge setter and a power rusher, I think he can help this Packers defense. So in year one, I think he's a rotational player, but in time, I think he can really claim, maybe even 40, 45, 50% of the snaps as a fifth round pick. In the seventh round, number 228 overall, Tariq Carpenter, linebacker out of Georgia Tech. Now, Carpenter played safety at Georgia Tech, but he's definitely an oversized safety that projects well to a linebacker role in the NFL. I love his ability to come in and potentially help this team on special teams. And he's got some developmental appeal when you think about him transitioning to a new role, a new position as a linebacker in the NFL. And, I think that's what the seventh round's for. Flyers on those types of players that you can think about them helping you on teams, but also, that there's some upside and appeal for them to develop into something because, now he's given a new opportunity to play a different position in the NFL. So in year one, I do think that Tariq Carpenter helps the Packers on special teams, and I'm excited to see what he can develop into as a linebacker. Also in the seventh round, number 234 overall, Jonathan Ford, defensive tackle from Miami. This is a big-bodied nose tackle, a run stuffer. He can eat space, occupy blocks, and allow that second level to get downhill, right? Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker, those types of players. Jonathan Ford, players like that are helpful to those linebackers to be able to be clean and get to the football. And that's what Jonathan Ford provides, that run stuffing ability, that size, and that ability to eat space. And so in year one, I think he's got a chance to develop into a player that helps this run defense as a rotational player. And, we'll see what type of ceiling he can develop into, but there's a pretty clear role that he can fill for this Packers defense, and he's got all the skill to be a good run stuffer in the NFL. Also in the seventh round, number 249 overall, Rasheed Walker, offensive tackle from Penn State. Walker was a really promising player early in his time at Penn State, but, he's a player that really never took a step. He was always the same, and you can see he's got a lot of ability, right? He's got good athleticism. He's got some high-level tape at times, but he's got to find consistency. He's got to take a step. He's got to not be stuck in his development. And, maybe the Packers is exactly the spot that can unlock his potential because he does have that. You see that at Penn State. Now it's just a matter of him putting it all together and taking a step. And I think the NFL will be a great opportunity for Rasheed Walker to do that. If he was taken multiple rounds earlier, I wouldn't be surprised. So I think this is great value. And again, the depth of this offensive line has been stressed. And I think in year one, Rasheed Walker can add to this developing depth that the Packers have been able to assemble over the last couple of drafts and really figure out what not only their best five is, but who the right backups are behind them. And I think Quay Walker has a chance to fit into that conversation and provide good depth for this Packers offensive line. The Packers' last pick, number 258 overall, Samori Toure, wide receiver from Nebraska, transfer from Montana. Toure averaged over 17 yards per catch in college, 18 touchdowns. And you can see a theme here. The Packers like receivers with size and big play potential. That's what Toure does. And, he had a good year this past year at Nebraska, has taken the step up from competition. And we'll see what he does with his next opportunity. He's got a lot of athleticism and developmental appeal for the Packers at a position of need. So in year one, I see a special teams player, but a player that's interesting in terms of what he can develop into at a position of need for the Green Bay Packers. So what do you think of this Packers draft class? Did you like it? What did they miss out on? What should they have done differently? Let us know in the comments, and make sure that you stay plugged into the Draft Network for all of your NFL, college football, and NFL draft needs.